What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Fandom Talk presented by Fandoms Anonymous. We're here today, man. I got my man Jeremy Branch from B Terror Productions. What's going on, Jeremy?
Man, glad to be back. I'm here to do what I do best, and that is pretend like I know what I'm talking about movies I haven't seen yet.
And that's what we love to do. We're like you're like your average everyday episode of Barney. It's all pretend. Yep. Imagine the rainbow floating over your head. But we're going to go ahead and jump right into some of this news today. We're not going to keep you guys long, but there are some things that are notable to talk about. Today, or yesterday, Cameron Monaghan, that you all know from Gotham, and I think he's done some other TV shows and things before, but he was on Gotham and he played the Joker. Now, on Gotham, they never did name him the Joker, but if you have a brain and you get up every morning and you brush your teeth and you go to work, or even if you don't brush your teeth, you know he was a Joker, without him having to say that he was a Joker. He came out and said that he wants to play Carnage. I am totally 100% hands down in acceptance of this casting. Now, that's not saying that they have casted him as Carnage, but he wants to be Carnage. I definitely wholeheartedly agree because he showed me on Gotham that he can be evil, vile, maniacal, psychotic, crazy, however you want to put it, and that's what we need from a Carnage. We need that voice. We need that presence. We need that attitude, we need that demeanor, and he put all of that on the line when he played the Joker on Gotham, and I feel like that he can bring that to Carnage. Jeremy, what do you think?
I mean, I agree with a lot of what you said. Jerome was the name of his character on Gotham, which, again, if you have a brain, you put it together, Joker, Mr. J, Jerome, it all kind of fits into place there. So I do think, from the little bit that I saw him on Gotham, I think he really does nail that, for lack of a better word, just the instability of a character that has some sort of psychosis or some sort, like a psychopath or something like that, which is great for Cletus Cassidy. That is essentially what Carnage, it's a symbiote that attaches to a serial killer. And obviously we've seen what Venom did to Eddie Brock just with that little bit of festering hatred that he had towards Peter Parker. So you multiply that by, what if you hated everybody? And that's kind of what Carnage is. So I do like the idea of him. What's his name one more time?
Cameron Monaghan.
Okay, I like his look for the character. He's got red hair. That's a good fit for the character. My major concern right off the bat, the thing I think about is the age disparity between Tom Hardy and him. I think that Tom Hardy's probably got 20 years on him, maybe 15 years on him.
Yeah.
Again, that was kind of my concern about the difference between Tom Holland and Tom Hardy. I can see Monaghan as being a nice foil for Tom Holland because they're kind of in that same age group, or at least can play at around that same age, where I just feel like Tom Hardy, if you put Tom Hardy in a ring with that dude, I mean, Tom Hardy would wipe the floor with him, but I know that it's not a physical confrontation kind of thing, but it's just hard for me to see a movie where the antagonist is so much more slight or minuscule compared to the protagonist. You know what I mean?
Right. So, I'm excited for this. Like I say, at Fandom Talk, we get excited for things, even though they may not happen. We that's just who we are. We're fans.
Of course.
We're fans. If there's some type of rumor where Hugh Jackman says, I might come back and do a movie, we're going to be excited, even though we know it may not happen. we're going to go around, hey guys, did you see that rumor?
Yeah,
and it's not even fact. Another thing I want to touch on real quick is the future for the Han Solo movie. As you all know, Lord and Miller were fired from the movie. Now they're coming out saying the word fired. I thought it was step down. Jeremy, what did you take it as? I mean, I kept hearing step down. I kept hearing, left the project. But right now, everybody else is saying fired.
Yeah, man. I mean, Hollywood is so political in the statements that they release to the press. What we always hear, you and I have talked about it probably on a half a dozen other episodes, is this idea of creative differences. Creative differences, in parentheses, means there was a falling out on the set. Well, they're not even going with the creative differences this time around. Supposedly, Kathy Kennedy didn't like the way that Lord and Miller tied their shoes on the set. I mean, it was like there was tensions running hot from the very get-go. It's mind-boggling to me, Malcolm, that they would even get into the process without having a couple of meetings where they sit down and hash it out and are like, regardless of how good Kennedy is a producer, regardless of how good Lord and Miller are as storytellers and directors, can we get along? Do we have chemistry enough to go and do this daunting task for the next 4, 5, 6 months and not want to kill each other? And it doesn't sound like they were able to diplomatically do that. I'm sure you heard, like me, that that Lord and Miller were trying to make Han Solo into a much more comedic character. They were trying to play it more for jokes and probably make it more improvisational, where Lawrence Kasdan, he's the granddaddy of the writers of Star Wars. He's been doing the thing since the original trilogy, so he feels ownership over this character. He created this character. And that brings up a whole separate topic of, once us, the fans, we receive Star Wars, we receive Han Solo, he starts to make an impression on our life. Do we have some ownership over him? And I'd imagine a lot of the new filmmakers have their own ideas about who Han Solo should be, especially in this new world that we're in now. But the long and the short of it is, if they couldn't see eye to eye, then it's probably a good thing that it didn't get done with the said crew. Gareth Edwards was attached to Rogue One. He directed Rogue One. We heard there were some hiccups along the way, and I think that he was able to assimilate to what Disney wanted him to do. They did turn it over to somebody else to do the editing at the end. So I hate to say this, especially with the fandoms that we're in, but a lot of these comic book movies, all the Star Wars movies, they're made by committees. They're not a filmmaker's medium. Kathleen Kennedy controls the Star Wars universe in the same way that Kevin Feige controls the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, I might have a really good idea about what I want to do with the next Captain America movie, but if it doesn't fit in with the whole rest of that universe, they're just going to be like, sorry, that's not the way that it goes. Do you want to do it our way or do you want to walk? And that's the decision that we would all have to make. And I think that Lord and Miller just said we're just going to walk. And I don't know. That's a huge project to walk away from, but I think they're doing all right because they had several very successful movies before that. So, if you were in the situation, Malcolm, and everything that we just kind of went over, and they were like, either you do it our way and compromise your artistic integrity, or you walk away and miss out on being involved in the project, what do you think you would do in that situation?
Well, Jeremy, I'm glad you asked, because that's how Fandom Anonymous was created.
That is real.
Oh, man. Hey, I've been there. There. I was put in a situation belonging to another group where my artistic and what I wanted to do was questioned. It was downtrodden. It was put into character as if it wasn't important, and I walked. And I'm successful now here with me and you and doing what we do at Fandom Anonymous. So, hey, I've been there. I know you had a similar situation as well. But what I want to say about this is I kept hearing the movies that they said Lord and Miller would do and have done before, and I went ahead and pulled it up. And this is where I get confused. All right, we're talking about Han Solo. Now, I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan, but I know Han Solo is very important. Very, very, very important. Yes, any real deal Star Wars fan, how important Han Solo is, and they will tell you he's very important. This is where I get confused with executives, okay? And I don't know if it's how Lord and Miller pitched themselves to Lucasfilm or to Disney, however. But you put a Han Solo movie in the hands of the two guys. Now, these movies are good movies now. I'm not taking that away from it. But you put a Han Solo movie in the hands of the guys who made the Lego movie, 21 and 22 Jump Street, and Clouded with a Chance of Meatballs 1 and 2.
Right.
I'm very confused about that.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Now looking at this list for the very first time, and I heard them say 21 Jump Street, I heard them say Clouded with a Chance of Meatballs, but I had never looked at the list for myself. Star Wars is a serious brand. It's nothing to play with. That's not how I feel about Power Rangers. I don't want you to touch Power Rangers if you're going to play with it. It's a serious brand. And all 5 of these movies I named, 3 of them were animated.
Yep.
3 of them were animated. They've only worked on 2 movies. Not saying they haven't worked on other previous movies before where they may have had another role, but they've only worked on 2 movies where it was full humans, people.
Yeah.
And those 2 movies were slapstick comedy.
And then to take it one step further, to even push it one step past that point is to, the fact of the matter is 21 Jump Street and 22 Jump Street were not just slapstick comedies. They took the original property and they turned it into a joke. And it's exactly what you were saying about Power Rangers. If you think about it the same way, what they would do is they would make a new Power Rangers movie that referenced and poked fun at the 90s version of the TV shows and of the movies, and that would be fun. It would be meta, but for, like you just said, you're a hardcore fan of the franchise. You don't want filmmakers coming and just turning the whole thing into a punchline, and that's what I agree with you about that. It's like Lego movie, very meta. You know what I mean? It was very self-aware of what it was. So we don't want a Han Solo movie where he's cracking jokes about something that he said back in the other trilogy as like a self-aware thing to the audience, if that makes any sense.
Right, like a bad Chewbacca joke. Hey, Chewie, feeling Chewie, like some crap like that.
Yeah.
I don't get where it had to have been. Okay, these are the guys. This is how I feel about Lord and Miller now. And this is how I feel about, because I listened to John Campion on the John Campion podcast, and one of the points he made was, she said, shame on both Lord and Miller and shame on both Captain Kennedy. You chose them, and you knew what they had done before. And the same thing, he said the same thing with Lord and Miller. You went into this movie knowing how serious Star Wars is. So my brain is mind-boggled on why they were chosen in the first place. If it was me, I would not have chosen them. I just would.
Right.
I would say, I feel like Lord and Miller are those guys who went into an interview and they go through all the other interview points and they say, do you know how to use Excel? Oh, yes, we know how to use Excel. I work on computers every day and I am not proficient in Excel. So I leave it off of my resume.
Yes. Yeah.
But apparently they put it on there and like, we're good at Excel. And they got the job, and first day on this we're not going to say first day, after the first 6 months, 4 months into shooting this movie, they're asking, so, hey, can you go make this spreadsheet for me? You know what? We're out. We can't make spreadsheets. We're done.
So it was all for Excel, guys. That's what the message at the end of the day is. It's crazy.
So the message at the end of the day is, if you don't know how to use Excel, do not put it on your resume. You don't want to be a Lord and Miller. Okay. But we're going to move on to another topic. I just had to expound on that, man, because that just really threw me off. Next thing we're going to talk about is Baby Driver. Now, Jeremy, I know you're going to see it tonight. I saw it yesterday morning. My non-spoilers review and the full spoilers review for Baby Driver is up. It is a very good, entertaining, heart-driven movie. That's all I'm going to say about it. It's very good. I love it. If you love music, this is the type of movie for you. It'll kind of put you along Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. Not the same movie per se, but the whole, how music drove Guardians 1. music really drives this movie, literally. So please go see Baby Driver and check out our non-spoilers review and the full spoilers review on the Fandom Anonymous YouTube channel. But while we got a chance, Jeremy, what's going on over there at Be Terrible Productions?
Just slacking. No, I've been working on the Movie Monster series for, several months. We've talked about it, and it's going very well. It actually just now got picked up by HorrorMovieFreaks.com, which is pretty awesome. I'm honored to be a part of that. There's a gentleman named Josh Mabe that reached out to me, said he liked the series, so he features it on his homepage. It's really exciting. But it's a process, and the reason why I said I was slacking is because it's been real busy with work and everything lately. So we got 4th of July coming up. I fell a couple days behind, and instead of trying to, crunch it and rush it out, I just told everybody for the holidays I'm taking a week to enjoy it with my friends and family, which is true, again, so I don't have to spend the whole weekend working on this project. So that's getting pushed back a week, no problems there. We've been doing the Horrible Horror Movie Club, which is actually me and Kevin Garlington from right here on Fandom Talk have been doing that for the past several weeks. We watch a horror movie, trying to get Malcolm involved, but you're not a huge horror movie fan. So we watch a horror movie, and then we talk about it, and that's what's been going on over at Be Terrible Movies. I recently just started doing movie reviews again, and you were talking about John Campea a second ago, Malcolm, and he's doing a daily podcast of his own now, and it's kind of inspired me to at least want to turn on the microphone and maybe do a 15, 20-minute segment every day about some news that jumped out in my mind. But that's about it.
Most definitely, man. Most definitely. Guys, you always know what we have going on in Fandom Anonymous, especially if you subscribe to the channel. A lot of new stuff up. We got a brand new episode of the one-on-one series with our man Steve Wise out of Pensacola, Florida. We had a great conversation. So if you want to learn something about film and writing and organization and all that good stuff, please check out that interview on there. And just a lot more content. We got a new episode of Gaming Nation. Gaming Nation has really picked up. We have found a panel. We record, and we get talking about some games and different topics. So me, Dan, Clay, Daryl, and James are part of Gaming Nation. You can always check that out once a week as well. But we want to move on to some trailer news. We got some trailers that came out. First, I'm going to start with the Inhumans trailer. I'm going to start with this because I feel like the net. Oh, Jeremy. Hold on now, Jeremy. Hold your horses. Matter of fact, Jeremy, I'll just let you go ahead because you kind of jump out there on me. I'm gonna let you go ahead and take over this one, then.
So literally, me and Malcolm were talking about show notes right before we started recording. He's like, hey, the new Inhumans trailer dropped. And we've been talking about this for a couple months now, ever since that first set photo came out of Lockjaw. And, it's been kind of a varying degrees of excitement. I don't know this property. I don't know these characters too much. From the get-go, my impression is these are X-Men Light. This is like the generic. This is like the Faygo to X-Men's Coca-Cola or something like that. And so I've not really known what to expect. I started hearing comparisons to Game of Thrones because this familial lineage between all these characters. And when I started watching the trailer, it looks cheap. It looks like sets. It looks like wigs. It looks like costumes. It looks like CGI. It doesn't have anything in it that feels authentic or fresh to me. It's got elements of Thor because Loki and Thor have this relationship. They're brothers. They're at odds. Loki wants to rule Asgard. Thor's heir to rule Asgard. We've got the same dynamic going with Black Bolt and what's his butt. I don't even know who he is, but
Maximus.
What, Maximus?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah. Black Bolt and Maximus, same exact deal. It just feels the fish out of water thing of Black Bolt landing in New York City or whatever and being surprised. Now, the one thing, and I'm sure you know where I'm going with this, the one thing that was super dope is when he gets hit and he just lets out like a little, and it freaking blows all those cars down City Street. I was like, all right, that's a cool shot. But other than that, I hate the way Medusa looks, and I don't know. I don't think I like anything about it, dude.
You all know I'll watch anything. I'll watch anything except for midget porn. But
I've been trying to get him on that for a couple of weeks too.
You said what now?
I said I've been trying to get you on that for a couple of weeks too.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I'm happy to eventually get on it. But I had high hopes for this, and I'm still going to keep my hopes up to a certain level because we just saw a trailer. We're not supposed to see the first 2 episodes until they premiere in IMAX. I will go see those first 2 episodes in IMAX. I will. But like Jeremy said, I feel like I saw a cosplay competition. You know, there are probably cosplayers who could come out way better than that. One thing that you did point out that I'm gonna stick on is Black Bolt's powers. He just let out a little small burst of air. You could tell when he let that burst of air out that he knew something was going to happen. He knew something was going to happen. We're talking about a man that in it was the Spider-Man Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon. There was this big battle going on between Spider-Man and MODOK and the Sinister Six, and he called Black Bolt at the end because there were these spaceships that they were still trying to blow up. He called Black Bolt. Black Bolt took his hand over his mouth, and all he said was the word "boo," and all the spaceships blew up. So that is why he is always silent. All he said was "boo." And he wasn't even loud. It was a whisper, you know, and everything just blew up. So he knows his power level. He knows who he is. And I just hope that they don't I hope it's good. That's all I can say now. Seeing this trailer, all I can say is I hope that what we see in the actual episodes is actually good. I'm just going to stick to that. I'm going to stick to that with this Inhumans.
Do you think, I'm just curious, do you think that they're going to have to power him down just because he's so overpowered by what you just said, or do you think that they're going to stick to it and he's going to have such a powerful opposing force that they can actually hang with them?
Well, because Black Bolt vowed silence, you don't have to necessarily overpower him. He's already powerful in that right. It's just that when it happens, we're going to see some mass destruction.
I got you.
You know,
okay.
When something happens, you're going to see something. You're going to see a reaction to it. Just like you saw, he was fighting with those police when they hit him in the back, and he let out that burst of air. You know, you're going to see that. But overall, even in the comic books, he's very well respected. He's a member of the Marvel Illuminati. He's very well respected, and he doesn't even have to open his mouth. You know, so I just want to see where they're going to go with this. I hope it's going to be good. All I can do is hope for the best. I can hope for the best. That's it. That's all I'm going to leave that alone on Inhumans. Now, we're going to jump to our last trailer for the evening. I thoroughly enjoyed this trailer. It's the Jumanji trailer. Jeremy, go ahead and take it away.
Oh, man, I did not want to like this trailer. Let me preface it by saying this. I don't really care about Jumanji, the original movie. I know a lot of people my age, they grew up on it, they loved it, and I love Robin Williams. I've got nothing but the utmost respect for him. But Jumanji was just never something that really grabbed me. If I'm not mistaken, Jurassic Park came out somewhere right around the same time, and so that was a little more where my headspace was at, a little more mature sci-fi. So I don't have such a sentimental attachment to it, but when the trailer started and I saw that it was like a Atari 2600 or something instead of this old ancient board game, I was already like, no. This is not right. This is trying to turn this into some other movie. And then the minute that they get transported into the jungle, it totally changed it for me. I went from being like, oh, this is super lame to, oh, I didn't want to like this, but this is kind of cool. The jokes are landing. It's funny. You know, The Rock is super charismatic. Obviously, we all know that. Jack Black hasn't been in near enough stuff lately. I think he is freaking hilarious. And then let me just say Karen Gillan may be the most beautiful redhead working in movies today. So I despite myself, liked this trailer pretty good, man. How about you?
I loved it. And I'm going to tell you why. Because just like you, I was wondering, what were they going to do with this property? Were they going to play with it? Were they going to ruin it? Were they going to try too hard to be the original? So I'm going to give you my theory of what I think that they're doing. Okay, so we know the original Jumanji. It was a board game. And if we're going timeline-wise or Jumanji universe-wise, it was a board game in the 90s or whatever time period that that movie was originally set in. So as time progressed, Jumanji moved from a board game, and this is my theory, Jumanji moved from a board game to a console game. You follow me?
Sure, yeah.
So moved from a board game to a console game, and these kids who were cleaning up this basement found this old dusty console game. So it's no different than when we were growing up, that Monopoly moved from a board game and then got on the Sega Genesis. Because Monopoly was on the Sega Genesis. A lot of those other board games on the Sega Genesis, and another game console. So I feel like as time progressed in the original movie, going into this movie, Jumanji advanced to a different form. No different from your Super Nintendo system becomes to the NES, comes to the Super Nintendo system, then turns into the Nintendo 64, then turns to the, it progressed over time. So that's why I'm feeling like where it went, because for them to have to blow dust off of it shows that it was just as old as when the kids were blowing dust off of the Jumanji game, the board game originally. So that's kind of how I feel about it. I like the premise. Like I said, the comedic presence was great, with them trying to figure out each other and see who each other were.
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious. I thought it was so funny for, the teenage heartthrob popular girl to, when she said, "Oh, I'm going to select this one, curvy scientist." And I was like, okay. And they were like, "No, don't look at yourself. Don't look at yourself."
And then Kevin Hart says, "Where's the rest of me?" And that was a really, really good line, too. I think that's so funny. And The Rock and Kevin Hart, they have good chemistry. Central Intelligence, I think, was a good example of that. So I'm just going to fill up some airspace right now talking about me, the most important part of the show. Yeah, right. So, yeah, Jumanji trailer. It, again, more than I expected to get out of something like that. I do like Malcolm's theory about the relativity of the age of the game then compared to the game now. And now he's back on the line. What's up, Malcolm?
Thanks for carrying it on for me, man. We have technical difficulties. But, just to see each character, progress themselves and learn what their actual bodies were inside of the game, I thought it was funny because Kevin Hart's character was like, "I'm missing 2 more feet of my body." I thought that was so funny. I thought it was hilarious. And then for the frumpy girl who got this nice hot body, and then the hot body girl that's got this old frumpy body, it's a good parallel, between the two. And I thought that was I thought it was great. I thought it was great. So now I'm ready to see this movie. I was very skeptical, what was going to happen going forward. So they've got me wanting to see what's going to happen with this movie now.
Hey, before we move on, let's tie this back to the Han Solo story that we were talking about at the beginning. If Lord and Miller made a Jumanji movie, this is what it would look like.
There you go. Perfect.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I was thinking about that just now, and I was like, that's a kind of fair comparison because it's going to acknowledge the original one, and it's going to kind of play on that, but it's obviously more self-aware,
Undeniably, I do definitely agree with that. But hey, it's coming out this winter. We got some more movies coming out. Spider-Man's coming out next week. Got to be ready for that. War of the Planet of the Apes, that's coming out too in July. So hey, we're still headed full steam ahead in summer movie season, and we're going to keep on going. And we're definitely going to be here each and every week to talk about what we got going on. But before we go, Jeremy, tell everybody where we can find you at.
Jeremy Be Terrible on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure to head over there and follow the Be Terrible Movies YouTube channel. And a couple quick plugs, guys. I don't know if you are subscribed to Netflix, but you got to be watching Glow. The Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling just started it with my wife last night. It is fantastic, a lot of fun, and also the new season of Preacher has started, and it's starting off with a bang. So if you guys are not keeping up with those two TV shows, definitely recommend giving them a watch. And join the Facebook group, #Team Terrible, to talk movies, talk comic books, video games, TV shows, talk to me and Malcolm, all that fun stuff. And, see you guys next week.
Most definitely. Well, guys, if you don't know who we are, we're Fandoms Anonymous. That's FANDOMSANONYMOUS. We're all over social media. Right here on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell for future videos. Also, head over there to Facebook, just like Jared, and join our group as well. We both talk back and forth between groups, but we have discussions each and every single day. And hit the like on the Facebook fan page. Also, head over to Instagram where we're at Fandoms_Anonymous17. We got a lot of stuff coming up on both of these different channels that you're listening to today, both Be Terrible and Fandoms Anonymous. But guys, as we always say, if there is anything else, thanks for watching and have a good one.
Fandoms Anonymous.